I want to talk today about the predatory nature of capitalism and how that predation has become more extreme today. In my own field, economics, we teach that markets are efficient, beneficent, and that business serves to meet the needs of customers. In business schools, however, they teach just the opposite. They instruct students about how to subvert competition. To the extent that economics has been successful, it has made the world more susceptible to business practices. The avoidance of competition comes in very, very simple ways. Advertising, of course, is to make a product in such a way to have such a feeling that it won't be substituted for other products, and therefore the seller will have the option to raise prices. Other ways you can avoid competition is to try to lock a consumer in. So printer makers or razor blade makers offer very inexpensive products, printers, or I don't know what they call the thing to hold the razor blade, so that the customer then will be locked into buying cartridges or razor blades from the providers. Apple is a very successful company in this also, because it has been able to create a product which locks you into Apple products and excludes you from other kinds. Another way that business manages to gain advantage over customers is through the use of fees. Anybody who has a credit card knows how fees can be stacked onto their bills. Anybody who's flown on an airplane knows about baggage fees. Banks are very, very successful in figuring out how to create new fees. In fact, since the Dodd-Frank bill, the banks have figured out how to make new fees to, in effect, undo any inconvenience that the bill looks like it will produce. Something else business is very capable of doing, and that's gaming the system. One interesting example is through finance. Business produces products with great, or finance produces products with great promise, and the unwitting customer will get socked with the consequences. Business takes a very cynical view of it, sometimes laughing about the ignorance of their customers. I remember in Frank Partnoy's book, in which he gave an example of one derivative that was being sold to a major corporation. And part of the formula on which the derivative would be priced would be the winning loss record of the Utah Jazz basketball team. They put something in that as a joke because they assumed that the customer would never bother to look and see what the product really was. Now, some of this gaming the system turns out that the customer is not the one who's harmed, but third parties. Perhaps the best example of that would be insurance companies. Insurance companies sell a product and they promise that the person who buys the product will get benefits when needed. So, for example, people buy disability insurance in case they get injured on the job. It turns out when you get disabled, the insurance company will try to force you to go to Social Security disability. even when they know you're not qualified for Social Security. Sometimes they might win and push you off their books onto Social Security. Most of the time, it just creates a great bureaucratic cost that depletes the Social Security fund. Then what happens is we're told that Social Security can't afford to take care of this party or that party. And part of the reason is, of course, they've been duped by the insurance companies. Another example would be that right-wing, not just right-wing, but political parties and legislatures in the states and counties and cities have been unwilling to pay taxes, or to raise taxes. I'm sorry, I'm getting all confused today. So what happens when they don't raise taxes? One of the things they can do to balance the budget is they can put less money into pension funds. Well, the way they can do that, because they have an obligation to take care of the people who've been promised pensions, is they just assume that the pension fund will be able to make more money. Then the pension fund, seeing that they have the need to make higher rates of return, will turn around and they will find themselves looking for very, very profitable investments. Profitable investments, really profitable investments, are generally high risk, and many of these were, including junk bonds from the toxic waste of the housing crisis. The result was that pension funds were left high and dry, losing enormous amounts of money, and now we're told that greedy people expecting pensions can't expect to be paid, and that something has to be done. In this way, they can save taxes, they can undermine the public employees unions, they can put more pressure on labor markets. That is, the publics become victim. Another way that the system can be gamed is through insider trading, which has become quite a big story in the press today. That is, a typical person putting money away for the future doesn't have much information about how the market really works, the state of particular businesses. But insider trading companies, they purvey information to various hedge funds and the like, who can win because they know the way markets are going to work in the future. Another way that financial operations can be predatory is through algorithmic trading. And this is what they talk about, the flash crash that occurred. And the flash crash occurred because these trades are run by computers now instead of people, and the computers are susceptible to making mistakes. But to make matters worse, one of the things that investors do is they will create algorithms not to be able to game the market by figuring out the best possible investments, but by tricking other investors so that they behave in a predictable way, and then you could take advantage of them. But in this kind of world, it's almost impossible for an individual to be able to figure out how to protect themselves and provide for the future. At the same time, the same individual is told it's your responsibility. Public pensions shouldn't be available to you. So again, the individual, whether they face deceptive advertising, whether they face a rigged financial system, whether they face shredded I'm sorry, something went wrong with the computer, whether they face a shredded safety net, is left adrift. While profits are back at their peaks for many industries. And these peaks represent not the ability to serve customers, but the ability to fleece customers and fleece the public and find ways to take advantage of others. Anyway, I just thought I'd sit down and talk about this for a bit, because I haven't seen many people trying to go into this in detail, and maybe you'll send me your thoughts about it. So, thank you very much.